next week or two, you know.
Okay, good.
And what that will mean is that at any moment you can go to our website and download it and stuff, and that'll become the default version. We've had to keep it in beta for a while just because we keep adding a lot of new features to it, and we try not to expose everybody to new code. It's just, you know, part of software is like you write new stuff and there's always bugs in it. And
Yeah.
I've been working with Steve on he's been building software for me for like 6 or 7 years. And so his code is incredible. Like once it sort of bakes and we stop touching it, I really almost never have any problems. It's really stable stuff. But, you know, it's just hard whenever you're building a lot of new things, it's a little unstable. So yeah, that's it, Roger. And we're kind of close to, we're going to pivot back towards the mobile app here because there's a lot of stuff we want to do to that. But we're close to being done touching 5. There's still some library things that we want to fiddle with. And maybe I should show you that. Is anybody here interested in importing their library from another system? I don't know if that's, no, if that's not an issue, we don't really have to go into that. Let me know if it is, but there's some new library features around that. But anyway, and the other thing that we're working on, and any feedback you want to just shoot us, but we're trying to create more of an inspector notes feature that would just, you know, the kind of technical information that when you're on a mobile app, you know, what's the code for dedicated receptacles for bathrooms? And, you know, you could look that stuff up, B-vent clearances, all those things that I've learned like 10 and 20 and 30 times and I can never remember, you know, and I have a lot of that built into my library. So I have a lot of techniques for remembering that stuff, but I still want to improve that. So that's kind of something in the back of our minds as well. Yeah, cool. We'll just fire out questions if you have them. I'm going to just start. This is so the mobile app, when we are using that on version 5, it would sync to this guy on the right. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it looks like a mobile phone. It's actually hard for me to demo that because all of the reports I've done, I've already done the report. So I'm not using that. But basically all those pictures, if you're out in the field, will come in and you hit this and they just start magically syncing with your report. It's quite cool. And this is your images that are in the gallery. If you've put images right into the report, they'll just be showing up right in the report. All of these guys down this right side are all illustrations. Most of these come from Charlie, but there's a few other ones. Thank you, Charlie. These are awesome. But and at any moment, you can just drag an illustration into the report and use it. And if you want to add more, I've tried to get them and sort them into sort of logical categories, but like there's, you know, decks and stairs. And if you want to add a new one, you can come up here and you can add a new deck. You know, this brings you into your computer, right? And you could go through and find an illustration you want.
Dylan, if you notice, you can copy and paste a picture anywhere into any narrative or description, but you can't do it into the cover picture.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So I guess I just haven't tried that.
Yeah.
I might let Steve know about that.
You know me, I'm the copy and paste guy. Right?
Yeah, you do a ton of that. That's interesting. I don't use it that much. Yeah, so anyway, these are illustrations. This would be the mobile app. And if you want to edit this stuff, you can hit these little 3 dots here. And this is how you can control it. You could add more folders. So you could rename these folders if you want. You can give them different icons. So we've got a whole bunch of icons to choose from. And Roger, you pointed out that you want to get a bunch of icons for another section. We'll talk about that in a minute. And I believe Steve's working on that. I don't know where we're at.
I just wanted to change the icons for one of the observation headings.
Yep. No, it makes total sense. I appreciate you finding that. It's funny when we roll out a lot of, you know, Steve built a lot of these things, which is the way I like it. And then we build stuff for the way other people like it, but I don't test it as much because I like it the way it is, you know, so that's great feedback. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. That's kind of what all of this stuff is. And this is, if you're using version 4, you wouldn't see any of this. This is all new to version 5. It's just an ability to sort your diagrams and illustrations by folders and kind of manage it. And then of course you have now, and what I also do is if you look in mine, I've added one that's just media. And the reason I've done that is I use an infrared camera on my inspections that is different than my mobile app. So most of my pictures will either be in the report because I've done them on the mobile, or in the mobile gallery, which is on this icon. But then I can connect, I can go up to this guy, and you hit the little folder icon, and that opens up a whole back end. So you can go and connect to your infrared images. Like, and I just put a memory card in my computer, and like, if you click on this guy, here's like my fluke, right? So I could connect these pictures in here that way, if that makes sense. So kind of cool to have an extra media icon or two. Like if you use drones, if you used a crawl bot or whatever, and you wanted to just pull things in from another card, that's kind of a convenient way that I do it. That makes sense, everyone? Yeah.
Yep. Dylan, what are you using for your mobile? Are you using your phone or a iPad or Samsung or Android? Rather?
Great question. So I've been using a Samsung, the new S20. And part of my reasoning is I simply can't believe I'm using a phone for my reporting system. I mean, I was like old school, like I'm going to use cameras till the day I die. I just never thought I'd do it, but honestly, to me, a tablet's just too big. Like and I can navigate the app really well on a phone. And I did get, my phone is a little bit, it's not one of the really tiny ones. It's kind of bigger, but it's just a big phone, and it's plenty of room to navigate the report. And I get it. It's how much I get done of the report as I go depends so much on the job. I mean, sometimes the client is with me the whole time asking me questions, and I can't get that much done. And that's what's great about the app, is you can just dump all your pictures into the gallery. They automatically go there, and then you deal with the report later because you're talking to the client. And then other times I might be doing a pre-listing inspection, and nobody's asking me anything, and I can just sit there and like get 80% of the report done as I go. Or even 90 occasionally if it's like a condo or something simple. I personally end up writing a bunch usually, no matter what, just because that's sort of what I like to do. I mean, one of the objectives of ScribeWare to me is always to present the client a report that looks as though everything was custom written just for them.
Exactly.
And that's not, I'm sure I don't achieve that 100%. But I mean, that's what the appearance I'm looking for is that. And so I do try to spend a bunch of time writing custom sentences and custom paragraphs, because I think it just helps get with that feel, and not just one or more, type comments. I have limited tolerance for those. So, go ahead.
No, I was just to say, sometimes you can even in a comment, in a narrative, say that we discussed on site, where you actually get them inserted into the narrative.
I actually have to do that quite a bit on pre-listing inspections. About half my work is pre-listing inspections, and they're very interesting. I mean, if you do a lot of them, one thing that's weird is that you've no idea who's going to read your report. I mean, if you're working for a buyer, you're writing a report for one family, right? Or one person. And for, it's like 20 people might read my report. And I don't know whether they have a baby or an elderly person, or like, safety issues or what. So you really try to write the report that anybody could use. And that's interesting. And then the others, sometimes the seller's like, oh, we replaced the main water line to the house because it leaked in 2017. And it's like, that's sort of this hearsay stuff, but then I actually have a category for that. So in my categories, if we add an observation, we can see it real quick, but I've got recommended disclosure items. So to me, that's kind of like a due diligence for the seller, right? And I'm saying that these are things I recommend you get paperwork for or disclose. I mean, a great example would be like, oh, we had the oil tank decommissioned. Okay, provide the paperwork for that. We had a new roof put on. Recommend providing any warranty information and receipts for that work. So that's one I use a lot. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Keep firing questions at me, and I'm going to keep doing stuff, and hopefully other stuff will keep sort of popping up. So if you're brand new to this, just inserting a cover page. I mean, here's a good cover picture, so you can just drag it in And there's your cover page. This is, we call this the client and property information page. So you can put the client name, the property address, the agent name, and it'll remember the agent's name. So you could start typing it in and it'll remember it. You can put the email address, and the emails are only important if you're sending the report right from the app. And I can show you that real quick. When you're done, you would hit the publish button. And you can choose whether you want to publish it without sending an email or publish and send an email. So with ScribeWare, you can just get everything published and directly email, so you don't have to upload it anywhere. If you do go ahead and publish without sending an email, that's now the system is collecting all the data and it's talking to the cloud, and the little link for your report will end up right down here on the client and property information page. And if you want to email it or you want to upload it to the ISN, you just copy that, and that copies the link so you can paste it wherever you want. We now sync with the ISNs. Anybody here use the ISN for scheduling?
I do.
I have been, yeah.
Yeah. So I actually think I've got a couple inspections, I think. So anyway, so you see where it says sync with the ISN, that's right up here in the upper right. And to connect to it is under settings, and you can see integrations. And so this is where you would enable ISN integration. Does that make sense, guys? So you should be able to get it connected to your account. Let us know if you have any problems with it. We don't at the moment, and we are working on it. You will be able to publish and send to the ISN, so you don't ever have to go back into it. At the moment, right now, I have to copy and paste the published link to the ISN. But I'll show you on the home page here how things come in. You just sync with the ISN, and it takes a little time, but in a few minutes, you should see a new report.
Hey, Dylan.
Yeah.
What is the ISN?
Ah, there's a good question. Hey, Don, how are you, buddy?
Good. How are you doing?
Nice
hi,
to see
Dylan.
you,
Hi,
man.
Charlie. Hi, all.
I want to know the same thing, Don.
You Luddites. Yeah, the ISN is the Inspection Support Network, and it's a scheduling system. And honestly, the reason I started using it is that when you book an inspection, you put in the clients and you put in the agents, and then it automatically sends them the contract to your clients and then little automated email reminders. And one of the things I found it really helpful for is that, you show up and the power's off, right? And the ISN, I have it built in to be sure the power's on. If the utilities are off, I will charge to come back, so it can actually, with automated emails, it can reinforce parameters that kind of guard you a bit. And you can set up, I have a 24-hour cancellation policy, and I lay that out really clearly. So there's some tools in there that I started mostly because I got tired of people wasting my time. And, I rarely implement the sort of fees of all that, but whatever, it sets out those parameters nice and clearly for you. And then it has a calendar and stuff, and it can manage all your contracts. Now in ScribeWare, we can manage contracts, and I can show you guys that. So increasingly, we're trying to build more and more features so that one-man shops don't need the ISN, and that you can just do that all from ScribeWare. So that's sort of...
We use it. We use it for our payments too. Our payments go through ISN.
Yeah, that's right. So you can manage. I mean, the ISN is sort of a complete business package, and I mean, you can log into it, Don, and it'll tell you how many miles you drove last year, and what your agents are. I mean, it turns your sort of thing into a real business. It'll show you which agents are making you how much money, and which county you did the most business in, and I think you can build a little map of everywhere you've been that year. And I mean, it's pretty insanely detailed, right? I mean, I have a feeling, Eric, I probably use 10% of it at the most,
Yeah.
So do we, I want the ISN to tell me why realtors quit using me and 2 years later start using me all over again.
Yeah. John, it's because they want you to inspect their son's house or their
right.
Yeah. The best part about it for me is that when the customer shows up and says they forgot their checkbook,
Yeah.
well, it won't release that report. I mean, you can upload that report when you're done with it. It won't release it until they pay.
Yep. And I actually have it set where people can, I'll release it without being paid because that's how I roll. But yeah, I mean, I've only been burned twice out of like 6,000 inspections, so I just don't worry about it. But you know, that you can set, but the one I won't release it until they sign the contract, and you can do either.
And it tells
both.
you when you get an email when they sign it. So, or at least I do. I get an email every time they sign the contract.
Yep. So anyway, we're slowly working on building more and more of those features into ScribeWare so that you wouldn't need the ISN, but there's no way we'll ever have everything built that the ISN does. I mean, that thing's crazy. It'll make you coffee in the morning if you spend enough time figuring it out. So anyway, you see how these new inspections showed up. So it's just nice. I don't have to repeat logging in information. So it all just shows up of the jobs I have coming up. That makes sense, guys? Pretty straightforward. So yeah, so that gives you just kind of an overview of publishing a report using the ISN and stuff. Let's see, we dragged a picture in. Some important information on the cover page here. I include a pest inspection and it embeds it right in the report. If you're not doing that, which probably a lot of you aren't if you're not in Washington State, you would just toggle that switch off and that makes it all go away. So you can either choose whether you want to embed a pest inspection in the report or not. In Washington State, we're weird for a lot of reasons. Right, Dom?
Absolutely.
But among them is that before licensing, we were controlled basically by the pest inspection world. So those of us out here that have been doing it a while grew accustomed to embedding our pest inspection right in with our report. So I've done it forever. This is where you can put your inspection fee in. The ISN is actually for Washington State pest inspection stuff. Contracts, this is a pretty cool one. So I have 3 different contracts loaded. So if I'm doing a verbal, I can even send out, which I basically never do those, but I loaded a contract because my insurance agent sent me one. But I could hit residential contract up here. And then if I hit this little button, it will send the contract to whoever is emailed. Would anybody like to receive a contract? And I can put your email address in. You can check out what it's like for clients to sign it and stuff.
Sure,
Yeah, I'll take that.
Cool. Let's see. Who spoke first? Roger, you want it?
Sure, I'll take it.
Cool. What's your email address?
Roger@homeproinspection.com.
See, I'll try putting 2 on. What's yours, Don? It's Scout, isn't it?
Yep, Scout Building Inspection.
Is it? Yeah, one Scout Building
Inspection. Yep, the singular. And this is where it gets weird. At Q, the letter Q.com.
Cool.
That's how old that thing is.
I always like it when people have the AOL ones.
Yeah.
It really dates you. All right, so now I will send. Let me put an address in just to.
I saw that somebody else wanted it, but their mic wasn't working.
Oh yeah, you
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, who was it?
Chris?
Yeah, what's yours? And I've never sent this to so many, but we'll see what happens. What's yours, Chris?
ChrisField206@gmail.
Chris Field
206
@gmail.
Thanks.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. I've never sent it to so many. All right, we got Ridge Lane, Seattle. Try to make it look decent. There you guys are. And then you can edit this. This is the link that these guys will open, and you can customize all this language. So we'll just send them the contract. So it is pretty sweet. Let us know how it all goes. But for editing the contracts, just so you know, you come under the settings and under contracts, and this is where you can copy and paste the contract in. And it's pretty cool. There's actually placeholders you can put in. So you see how you can put in company name, inspector name, client name, and all this stuff syncs with the report. So that way, like as soon as you put in the address and the client name, all that stuff will kind of sync in. So you can see how I have these placeholders set. So this should be working pretty well now. I've been playing with it a bunch, but you copy and paste. Yeah.
Is there a way to preview it before you send it out just to make sure that it's
Yeah, yeah, you can at any point, like even when you're up here, let's see, that shows where it got sent. Yeah, go ahead, Charlie.
You put a dollar amount in there for them to sign, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it connects with invoice total.
I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
like you mean the sort of
So you're sending out
thumb
these
screws?
yeah, the contracts for.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the contract right here, and then I'm
Okay.
pretty sure that you can also see it up here when I haven't already sent a contract.
Then you can go in and preview it.
Yeah, exactly. At any moment, you can preview them, and you can have as many as you want. So if you have a separate contract for like lead and asbestos or radon or whatever, you can put all of those in there. Mold testing, you could send them as many contracts as you want.
Oh, and it'll link all the contracts information.
That's yeah. I think when it's all been executed, you can see them here.
Can you edit the body without each time without corrupting the original contract? Or?
I don't know.
You probably couldn't, Charlie, because then you'd have to run it through a lawyer, or you're kind of violating.
No, but I have specific stuff in my contract that I leave off for different
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
jobs.
You'd probably want to try to have like just a whole bunch of different contracts loaded to get you as close as possible. There's no reason you can't go in and edit it, but then I think you will have saved it for other ones.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. But I mean, play with it all, guys. Like honestly, I use the ISN, so it's hard for me to get a lot of mileage on this. So I haven't been. So I would love, we'd love your feedback. I imagine there's little tweaks like that we'll end up doing to kind of get everybody satisfied with it. But it should be working pretty well, and I would expect that we have a few tweaks to do. Once you get paid, you can toggle that and it will automatically send an invoice. If you don't get paid, or if you leave this unchecked, it automatically creates an invoice. If you check it, it automatically creates a receipt for the back page of the report. We've had a bunch of feedback that people would like to remove that, and I think that's on our build list. But at the moment, it automatically includes either an invoice or a receipt, and you can check how you got paid.
People don't like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people don't seem to want it. One
What
thing
about
I've learned about this business is everybody wants to do it differently.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Hey,
I love
Dylan?
that about home inspectors. I think it's why we all do this, right? We're not like wheels in the cog in the machine, right? We get to do our own thing.
None of us play well.
No,
Yeah.
it's an industry of rugged individualists, which
Yeah, we all have police escorts when we're around.
yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
No.
Dylan, would it be possible to have that paid, not paid also have just a turn off feature? So
Yeah,
instead of it-
that's what we're working on, is that you
Okay.
could turn it off. It might be, so this is another place where there's some settings. So this is pretty cool. You guys see where I am here? There's 3 little dots at the
Mhm.
top here. And when you open that up, there's a quick summary feature. So our summary page, and you can turn the summary page off entirely if you want, have no summary page. The scope and purpose of a home inspection, you could turn that off, and how to read this report, you can turn that off. And even more important, you can now edit those. I'll show you guys that, but this is awesome. Like, for example, the other day I did an inspection, just a drainage inspection for a condo. And I don't know, I didn't really want the scope and purpose in there or how to read this report, because it just wasn't a regular home inspection. So I just toggled those off, and I didn't want the summary. So for that one report, I toggled all those off and just got rid of them. So I really like being able to toggle those off. And Don, I think we would add another one here to turn off the invoice receipt feature.
Well, yeah, that'd be great, just to have all the off features like that, like you have in one place, so we don't have to go searching for them.
Yeah. So I think that's where we'll end up with that. Let me show you this. So if you're new and you're setting up your report template, if you go under report template under settings, this is the scope and purpose, and you can go through all the pages: scope and purpose, how to read this report, the summary page, description. And like for mine, I explain that if I'm talking about a moisture meter, I talk about what kind of moisture meter I used. But all of this now is all editable, right? So you just come under report template, and you can go through and edit it. And John Hansen suggested that we add the ability to put pictures in here. And I haven't even used it yet, but it's pretty cool. Like if you have, for example, if you have like an introductory letter and you want it signed on the bottom, you could put your signature down here, and then like some logos and different things. I'm probably going to do that at some point. I haven't fiddled with it yet.
Oh, do the pictures in here display the same way they do in the report?
No, I think they'll be smaller, like the little icons at the bottom of something.
But I mean, without the raised shadowing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to play with that. Some of this is brand new, like that. I got it like yesterday or the day before. So let us know. But I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a nice idea that, you know, if you like to have an introductory letter at the front of your inspection, you can now really do that with this. That's sort of what the scope and purpose page is for. But I like the idea of you can now add some of your logos and even like a signature or something. My signature is so ugly, I'm always embarrassed to put it anywhere. It looks like some lunatic escaped from the asylum or something.
Me too.
Anyway, if you have a good looking signature, you can put it here. Let's see. Yeah, that's integrations. Cool. I think that gets you. Oh, this is also new, you guys. So observations. So I showed you how I have a recommended disclosure, but you can change all of these now. So like if you wanted repair to read differently, you can give it a different name, and you can give it a different description. You can give it different colors, and you can decide which qualifiers you want to go to the summary or not. So like, let's say you wanted your summary just to be major concerns and to include the pictures. So you could do that. You could just open up each one and either include it or not include it in the summary page. And then you can choose whether you want the media in the summary page or not. You can even choose whether or not you want it included in the report, which is interesting because we have a couple clients that have wanted a summary page only inspection, so that all the pictures and observations show up in the summary and the back of the report is kind of hidden, if that makes sense, other than pull downs. So that's another way you can do it. So we're really trying to like, and oh, look, Roger.
There's the icon thing. Yeah, I noticed that.
Can we get a hallelujah, Roger?
Yeah, amen.
Yeah, woo. Yeah, good old Steve. Look at that. That's pretty slick.
Yeah.
So now you can choose one of these icons that would go with your repair item.
And he's got cool icons too.
Yeah, there's some fun ones. So.
Can you choose no icons?
Oh, Jesus, Charlie.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Dylan, you gotta have a contrarian.
I'm asking for a friend.
God. I don't know, Charlie. Yeah, I don't know.
Charlie, there's one with a big boat because that's what Noah had, was a big boat. Noah icons.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. That's funny. Well, anyway, we got a lot of stuff for you here. Colors. Let us know. We can probably. I mean, there's actually it's not a bad idea, Charlie. There's probably no reason why you couldn't have a blank one. You know.
Yeah, just a blank one would be what you would do.
Well, certainly, like for I don't know if there is one for descriptions anyway, but we're trying to get rid of that whole thing anyway, right? Yeah,
we could talk about that. I don't know where I mean, some of this stuff, I literally downloaded a new version last night. So there's just stuff that I'm learning as well here. But one of the things we had talked about is having descriptions and no modifiers not even show up in the, as like, I don't know. Yeah, I need to show you when we're in a finished report. So I won't get to that yet. Cool. I mean, I think that gets you through a lot of the settings, but all this stuff is under settings, and this is where you can put your logo information in. So you drop your logo in, and we actually have different logos available if it's really complicated. Eric, I don't know if Eric's still on here, but those guys had this really nice green logo that it didn't work right. So Steve figured out how you can actually set it to a different background. And again, I haven't
turned out great.
Awesome. Yeah. So, and that's just, you can define different logos that you can put in here. let us know if you're struggling with that, and we can try to help. But you should be able to just dump your logo in, and then occasionally Steve can help you if it's not looking the way you want it. We try to fiddle with that.
Where are we at with picture control of the finish report? You know, where it doesn't show up with a blue covering, or it does, you know.
Oh, you mean the look of the finished report?
Yeah.
That's a great question. So I'd love your guys' feedback. I mean, here, let's look at a finished report. I know we haven't even written anything, but let me open a finished report because we could go through a few things here. We find a decent one that's can you guys see? Let me bring it over here. I think I shared it so you can see it, but can you guys see the finished report?
Yep.
Yep. Cool. So here's a look of a finished report. So I think what Charlie was talking about is like, you know, could you choose a color other than blue for up here? And so this is really interesting. So what we're producing is HTML reports. And from an HTML report, you can create a PDF report. You can create a PDF of just a summary page, or you can use the create request list, which I get a lot of good feedback from agents, but they can go through and make their own request list to sort of respond, like I want to ask for a couple things. So that's sort of big picture overview. Now, an HTML document, in theory, you know, we could make hundreds of different designs, right? I mean, it's like a website, so that you could do anything you want. I've actually been talking with a company that specializes in website construction, and you know, I've had a few inspectors reach out and say, "Do you guys do websites?" Because that's what a lot of our competition does, you know. And I would go so far as to say at least some of our competition, it probably comes at report writing from more of a marketing website construction standpoint than a report writing standpoint, which I find
Absolutely.
I find that personally kind of alarming, but whatever. Like, they're very popular, and they've got a lot of sort of bling to the look because they're essentially a marketing company, you know. So anyway, we've discussed partnering with this company. So the one company I've found, I really like these guys. They're actually in the Seattle area, which is just random, but because I was looking all over the world to find people and interviewing some different companies, but you know, it's possible we wouldn't really partner with them in any sense, but we might, you know, be able to refer them and like create. If we had a company we could work with like that, we could have a company building, for example, 5 or 10 different looks that you could choose from, which I think would be kind of nice, so that you could have different, you know, it could be as simple as just some different colors up here, but then, you know, there's really no reason this couldn't look like a dashboard, right? I mean, there's the world is your oyster. I mean, you can design an HTML doc. At the end of the day, from our perspective, we're collecting data and for you, and then how we present the data would be the HTML report. The PDF would still look the same no matter what, but the HTML version could be kind
Well,
of.
the PDF doesn't have that blue overlay, you know.
That's correct. Yeah, the PDF looks much more like a regular document, and
Right.
yeah, that makes sense. Everybody answer your questions there. So, and the cool thing about these reports, I really think we have a few newer inspectors on here, but you know, one of the things that I mentioned early on is the way when you're doing an inspection, especially pre-listing, you don't even know who's reading it. And if you do 400 inspections a year, you're going to have a bunch of clients that might not even read the report. And then you'll have other clients that are, who I always describe them as the retired engineer clients.
Yeah.
But you know, those guys are, you can't just say nobody's going to read your report, because you will have the retired engineer client. And I'm always proud that those clients of mine could spend 4 or 5 hours reading my report. They can keep clicking open links to more information. And those are the people that really have your back and like grow your business. Those are like, wow, man, this guy delivered this amazing report, and they won't shut up about you. You know, those are often your best sort of advocates to grow your business without real estate agents. So
Yeah, I just had one of those yesterday where she took 3 weeks to read my report. And she says, I have read every line, and we went through the entire report on Zoom, and she found she didn't find any mistakes, which I loved that part. But
that's amazing.
it was a great way to connect with her, and She loved it. She loved the fact that it was, I think it was, that one was 125 pages. So it was,
So Charlie, the fact she read it in 3 weeks meant she's a speed reader, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. So Pete, I think I agree with Dylan. People do read these things. There are people that won't and don't. And well, you pick and choose your clients, really. You can weed those out and you end up, the vast majority of my clients do read my reports, but they're looking for 100-page reports. They're not looking for 20-page reports.
Well, and for me, the beauty of ScribeWare is like, if I have a client that's the busy executive, I want to satisfy them too. And if they've got 30 seconds to read the report, they can click on major concerns. They see all this stuff in red and they can read that and then move on. I mean, so this idea of like the length of report, I really feel like with ScribeWare, we've just blown that out of the water. I don't think we've sequenced the information so well. There's so many tools to sequence the information that you can just keep clicking and going deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's like, okay, well, here's the one with all the pictures, you know, and even the videos that are streaming and the infrared pictures. And you guys hear that? I don't know.
Oh yeah, there's water in there.
Yeah.
Dylan, one of the things about having the multiple types of reports, which one is the legal report?
Well, I mean, it's this is the report, the link, right? So, I mean, I would say, you know, that's what you're delivering. So at the end of the day, it's all of the information that is in there. And then you're really letting other people choose what they want to do with it. Right. They can segment that report however they want, but the link would be the legal report. Yeah.
Yeah. Reason I ask is I've got a deposition on the 15th, and I know that they're suing the engineer who was there before I was. I don't know why they subpoenaed me, but they're going to produce my home inspection report, which I guarantee you they're going to give me a black and white, and I'm going to tell them that that's unacceptable. Mm-hmm. Because on the report, at first line of how to read the report says, "Thou shalt read this with color photos."
Oh, nice. That's actually smart, Roger.
That's a really, really good idea.
Yeah, that's really smart.
I also tell them,
mine.
Yeah, I'm editing my template right now.
Yeah. We're all taking notes, Roger.
The other thing I do.
Roger, how did you decide to say that about the colored report or colored photos? Because that is really smart.
Yeah, it's the first line. The other one is that I put in there is that if you're viewing it on like a PDF on digital with a computer, the screen must be at least 8.5 inches wide.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And the reason being is a girl that works at my dentist's office, I did her home inspection, and then she had an iPhone 4. This was years ago, back when first people started using their iPhones to view like the reports. And she said, "Oh, those crawl space pictures weren't that bad."
Oh,
and it dawned on me. I said, "What did you view it on?" And she said, "On this, 2-inch screen, the picture." Yeah. And I said, "Oh, thou shalt read on at least an 8.5-inch screen. If you're not, I prefer they don't print them, but I said, if you're looking at it on a screen, it has to be at least 8.5 inches, and the photos must be in color. That's Otherwise, awesome. It's unacceptable."
Yeah, do not view on a cell phone.
Yeah, nicely done.
That's brilliant, actually. It really is. And I ScribeWare on the report, the link part of it should actually. I've read a bunch of them on the phone, and it actually displays pretty well. But your point is really good. You probably want to have some language like that. It's really smart. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I'm curious about because you have the HTML version and the PDF. They're slightly different.
The look of them is the information shouldn't be any different. The information's all the same. It's just the look of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just have to decide, do you tell them that both of those are acceptable? Because when I go to this deposition on the 15th, they're going to put this black and white version, and I'm going to tell them you can't use that.
Yeah. That's smart. Yeah. You could probably say that it, I mean, you could probably I mean, the one thing about the link version is that you have streaming videos. You're not going to have those in any PDF. And my videos, man, I love those. I mean, those are some of the more important things I put in. I mean, like that leaking roof. It's like, I don't know, I'm up there like pushing on saturated insulation. It's like, that's gold. I mean, that roof is leaking, so I like those. So it is partly a question for an attorney, would be like, is it acceptable to have a digital report as the legal report? But the PDF will have everything except the videos. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of that would be different, and it would still probably tell you that a video is available. It's just that obviously you can't stream a video on a PDF.
Yeah, it'll almost never matter.
Yeah, it won't almost never matter, but whatever. Good question. Yeah.
Hey, Roger, I had a deposition in a lawsuit against Comcast, and they had 3 of my reports printed out with laser color. They were awesome. It had to have cost them $200.
Yeah, were you like, can I have those when you're done
Yeah,
with this?
really.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny. So anyway, this is what the finished report looks like. And then as you can see, you've got hot links for stuff. So, all the deck stuff, I've got tons of links to the DACA, American Wood Council's guide. And I'm trying to build out more and more links to things that you can see. I've got a few in here talking about condensation problems in the attic links, and all of these deliver you right into the base of the report where all the pictures are located.
Steve said in that next build is supposed to be able to not send some of those to the summary if you want. You can, how everything's on the list, but not necessarily.
Yeah, that's right. These will go away, Charlie. He's fixing that. So
yeah,
and let us know how that goes, because I like it the way I have it.
Right.
Yeah. So cool. All right. Well, we looked at a finished report. Why don't we, you guys want to write a little bit of a report? Would that be helpful?
Sure.
Yeah. Here's the one we were working.
How big a house was this, Dylan?
I think it was probably like 3,000 square feet, something like that. These are crazy. They're, a bunch of these. This one I think is on a regular foundation. This was a site on the island where I live that has never been developed because it was a liquefaction zone.
Great.
Yeah, but this is crazy. They built slab foundations that were engineered. They're post tension, and they were designed so that like everything. They're like a little boat. Like the whole thing could shake and the house could tip, and they could just go back after an earthquake and like push it back up.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. This one I think had a piling system. It was like, but parts of this site, the nearest bearing soils were so deep that they had to engineer an alternative, like a floating foundation. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's suspect.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell are you supposed to say about that, right?
Well, it's how every railroad bed works.
Oh, interesting. That's cool.
They're floating, Charlie, for sure.
Yeah.
So you can just push them back into place, basically, if they.
Yeah, they jack them up, stuff stone back under them.
Yeah. It's like a post and pier house, right? Cool. So let's see. We could start going through. These pictures aren't in the greatest sequence. We could go to electrical. There's some electrical stuff here. And I can show you guys how, so if you're brand new to ScribeWare, we call all of these the chapters over here. And then within each chapter, we have sections, and you can control all this. You can move these around, resequence them, rename them, save them however you want. All this stuff is completely customizable. I'll just start doing some things. So I often, if I find permit stickers, I've just gotten in the habit of taking pictures, and I can just check that little box and drag the pictures in. Sorry, it's a little bit boggy because I'm on Zoom. So I don't know, and this is a no modifier. And again, I think we're working to get rid of the no modifiers. We'd get rid of that thing that says no modifier, and we'd even get rid of a number for it, because I guess the thought is that if these are just sort of to hold just background information, they're kind of designed.
If it's not going to the summary, you don't need them, those numbers for anything.
Yeah. So the no modifiers are one of the options we ship with, and those are always available. And the idea is it's just a place to put information that, it's not a big deal, but I don't know. I think it's kind of convenient. It's so easy to add pictures and stuff, particularly on the mobile app. I often just sit there and get all this stuff done right in front of me. Charlie, being the nuisance that he is, has gotten me into testing voltage with the panel. So I stick a probe in and test the voltage. So this was 120, 240, and I'll put a little picture and a note in. But again, you see how quick this goes. And on the mobile, you're sort of like clicking a couple buttons and I'll get this done right as I go down. This selection.
For some reason, I'm stuck on that finished report. I'm trying to figure out how to get out of there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me.
I'm on the Wi-Fi for this place. I don't know how good it is.
Yeah. Are you guys all seeing my report now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's just Eric. I'll do a new share just to see if that helps you, Eric. You maybe even there's like a refresh or something. I don't know. It's probably your internet connection if everyone else.
It probably is. It's for the place I'm at right now.
Yeah. Sorry, man. I don't know what.
That's all right. Well, just go ahead.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll come back.
Yeah.
Hey Dylan, can I ask something about the photos there? When you on this is the desktop version, but in the mobile version, like let's say you clicked it on that testing procedure button, and then you would actually take the photo right on your phone, and it would put it right in there. Correct?
That's correct. Yeah. What's really cool when you get used to the mobile is that you seamlessly can choose whether you want to put the picture in the report, like I just did, and you would snap it and it would go right here. And if you don't choose a place for it to go, then it essentially just defaults to the gallery and you end up with all your pictures here, just like you normally would. And to me, it really solves the problem. I've never understood how people could do reports on an app because, I mean, for me, half the time, especially pre-COVID, my client's with me the whole time, and I'm not going to sit there like fiddling with my phone. I want to talk to my clients and stuff. So
it's rude.
It is. Yeah. That's what I've always thought. So in any event, this really allows you to pretty seamlessly just take pictures and move, and they'll all end up in the gallery or put them here. Does that make sense, Chris?
Yeah, it does, totally.
It's the flexibility that's really, really awesome. If your client's not there, you can do it one way. If they're there, you can do it a different way.
And my advice, particularly, we do have some newer guys on here, and if you're newer, I would really encourage you to make sure you go and you fill out all these pull downs on site, and you can take a moment away from your client and do that, but the pull downs are designed to have your back. I mean, these are making sure that we do the things that our SOP requires. So, this was a 200 amp service, so I can just start filling in these pull downs. And when you're working on the app, it'll show you in orange. Why that showed up. This is acting kind of buggy because of Zoom. I think my internet connection's not the best. Anyway, you see how things turn orange or kind of red where I've been, and that happens on the mobile as well. So you can kind of tell when you've been to places, and it just helps you make sure you're filling everything out. Let's see, I can't remember what kind of panel this is, but we'll call it a Siemens. I think that might be what it was. So let's see, and there was no sub panel. I don't think there was a generator here. And so a great thing about ScribeWare, this is really important, is that if you don't fill something out, it doesn't print. So we've actually, Charlie and I have been talking to Steve about maybe an improved ability to hide chapters and sections that you don't need. But so I have a generator equipment section, and a lot of houses don't have a generator, so I just ignore it and I leave it alone, and you don't have to fiddle with it. But I think it might be nice to be able to hide it, don't you guys? And then I don't know, it could just feel like you're not really deleting it, but you're just kind of, you don't really need it. You're gonna get rid of it.
Dylan, you want to get some feedback? I could show that little video I made.
Yeah, we could do that. Let me keep moving so we're not.
Dylan, what you need is a show more button.
Show, like, so that you could.
You see the ones you use the most often, and then you would have a show more.
Yeah. That's actually pretty interesting, isn't it? Because I mean, there's so many that I have one for elevators, right? It's like
me too.
Once a year, I freaking see an elevator, but you want to have it, right? You want it when you want it. So yeah, that's, and I think that's kind of how Charlie was. He had an idea around that, but so anyway, we're trending in that way that we will probably improve the ability to kind of hide or expand sections that you're not really using much. Show more is a pretty good idea because, I can just show you real quick on my interior. I've got, indoor air quality and elevators. I almost never use those, but I
Mhm.
have them. And then one that kills me is this laundry and additional plumbing. I only use a few things at the top, and then there's sump pumps and drains, sewage ejector pumps, central vacuum, fire suppression, irrigation, water filters, spa, water features, sauna. I just lumped a bunch of weird stuff that you see. And, most of the stuff I don't use all that often, although some things like fire suppression, a little more frequently. But
Hey, Dylan, a question
yeah.
and you guys probably did this years ago and I just haven't paid attention to it, but is there a way to put in any section in the report and like an additional notes section? Just because we all run into weird stuff that doesn't fit anywhere, but it kind of fits in the outside of the house. Like you'll run into a statue in the front yard that's going to topple against the front porch or something weird like that. So just an additional notes thing that
so one of the things I love most about ScribeWare 5 is, let's just say you wanted the statue's a good one. So I don't know, maybe you're near grounds, right? At any point you can come up on here and you can add a blank section.
Perfect. Okay.
And then you could call it
yeah, that's perfect. Statues.
Yeah. Right, a funny
Okay.
statue, right? And
yeah,
I don't know, right?
Thank you.
That's yeah, I mean, and so that's an amazing thing about ScribeWare. And I've been getting a lot of questions about like commercial templates, and it's a really good question, but it's also like, boy, this residential template, I mean, you can make anything you want on the fly. I mean, if you show up at a house and there are 4 sub panels like I had the other day, I mean, you can just go down to the sub panel section and you can hit copy section, and there's a sub panel, and you can retitle it, so you can call this sub panel garage, and you keep going, right? You can sub panel barn, sub panel well house. I mean, whatever. So it's so flexible. Now, this is why when you're making your own template, here's the tricky thing. So let's say I always want 2 sub panels to show up in my template forevermore. Then I go to my client and property information page and I hit save report template. And now forevermore, I've got 2 sub panels in my report.
But you also do that for everything else you've done like that.
That's right. It's a global save. So you do have to be a little careful. So when it comes to templates, my advice is, what I do is I've got, you see how I have one just sitting at the very top, and this is a report for November 16th, 2037. And I put it way out in the future because it means it's always sitting in the top of my client and property information page. And I will use this as sort of my blank report that, like, when I want to fiddle with my template, I fiddle with it in here. And then when I'm done, I just keep hitting the save report template. That makes sense. And we can go into that a bit here. Let's go back into the report because I want to show you guys a few more things. Let me just show you. I mean, I think you're getting the sense of it, but let's see. Obviously, with the media, you can show all media or not. So right now, this is showing those pictures that I used. And if I want to make them go away, I can just toggle that. You guys all see that? Cool.
Because the other one shows the photos left that are not been added to the report, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. And that's my goal. I like to kind of make it so that once I'm done with all these, I know I'm pretty close. I've gotten through all my pictures. If there's a picture you don't want to use and you want to hide it, you can just click on it and you can hit hide media. That one will just go away. And if you wanted to see it again, you can hit show all media, and it will bring it back up again, and see how it's got like that little red circle through it that you hit it. And you can actually see it again if you want to. See how I just made it visible again?
Now, I haven't tried it yet, but you can add the same photo to multiple places in the report, correct?
That's correct. I mean, if you use it once and it'll disappear, and then if you want to use it again, you hit this and you'll be able to see it again. So here's that report or that picture, and I could go under exterior decks. I have a section here for elevations, and I'll just drag pictures in, and I just drag the picture in. That's all I do is just elevation shots. And I've gotten in the habit. It's really nice. You know how sometimes, especially houses with lots of bathrooms, you can't tell which one from another after a while. And so I've just gotten in the habit of putting a bathroom picture in the front of each bathroom chapter. So I I don't think I was doing that when I made this, but like here's kitchen pictures. So under kitchen, I've got general kitchen pictures, you know, and you can just grab a few and drag them in. Kind of nice way to just add a lot of, you know, as Charlie has described, the National Geographic approach to report writing, you know, just gives pictures and stuff. And sometimes they're amazingly helpful. I'll be like, oh man, was there an air gap or whatever? And you pull a picture up and
was there a microwave? Because I forgot to, you know,
that's right.
comment about the microwave.
Well,
it's really nice. I have to copy my photos often because the software I've been using, you have to, each picture's only there once. You can't use it twice, but with this one, you don't have to copy it. You can just slide it over 20 times if you want to use the same picture elsewhere.
It's also really cool. You can drag them between sections, you know, not neat.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And you can even resequence them. So if you have two in the same section, you can like move them around.
I knew you could do that. And that's sweet too.
Yeah.
Well, every chance you get to relook at a picture gives you another chance to inspect that house and see what you missed in that picture. So
yeah, no, it's really good advice there. You guys we got some guys on here that are just hanging out, and that's totally fine. But like Steve and Mianam, Joel, Escalar, you guys cool? Ken, you on here? You guys getting everything? No big deal, but just wanted to. Oh, hey Joel, how are you, man?
Hey, good. I was just had other stuff going on, so I had my video on.
Yeah, that's cool. I just want to make sure everybody could hear and stuff, and you're welcome. Just hang out. Awesome. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too.
Hey, well, Dylan, I have a question about the general photos. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I'm in the mobile app and I'm in the general photos section, I need to create a observation first. Is that correct? In order to get the photos in that section?
Let's see.
Does that make sense? So I know if I just shoot photos, they just go to the gallery. But if I actually want them in there,
yeah, that's correct. Then you want to take it from inside the observation. And I could at the end here, it's always sort of freaks me out, but I can actually get the app up on Zoom and show you guys some stuff on that in a little bit.
Cool.
But yeah, in general, Chris, you're right. You essentially, we're trying to mimic the behavior here. I mean, if you were to just snap a picture, it ends up in here. If you were to select a comment and say, let's even choose one of these, you know, the spray attachment is leaking. Once I have that comment, once I'm in here and I take a picture, it would automatically go to that spot, if that makes sense. And it can be a little confusing at first, but honestly, I would hope that once you spend just a few minutes on the app, it starts feeling a lot more natural. Love your feedback on it either way. But
yeah, I think that was one thing I was trying to get used to when using it in a general part, because I'd take all these photos and then get back and I'd be like, I know I took those photos, but they didn't go where I thought they were going to. And that's just like one extra step that I'm always just sort of missing out.
Yeah. Well, let me see. Let's see if I can here. Hang on. Let me do something. I've got Zoom on here. All right.
So let's see. I think I turned. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
All right. So now I'm on this. This is always like an out of body experience. So bear with me here. I'm going to share.
Hey, high school?
What's that?
Is that your high school picture?
Yeah. Me and my mom, is that the one?
No, it's just you with a dark shirt on and long hair.
Huh. Oh yeah. That's just, all right, hang on. I'm resharing here.
I'm still only seeing your report.
Yeah, hang on.
Now it just popped all of us up, all of us good looking guys.
Okay, now it's all you guys. I'm getting there, guys. All
Now it's
right.
you and your mom.
Yeah. Here's the app.
Welcome to
How about
ScribeWare.
this, guys? You guys seen it all okay?
Yeah.
Cool. So here's the report we were working on. We'll open this up. Probably take a minute to open. But this is the home page on the app. One thing, I love the little black and white, or the black version. It's really helpful when you're out, if it's sunny or something. So here you can see the picture. If you come up to the upper left, you see those 3 bars.
Yep.
When you click on that, that gives you all of your chapters and stuff.
So this is like you'd be seeing on your phone. This is your phone, right, Dylan?
Yeah, this is all my phone, right?
Okay.
So, well, actually, let's go somewhere like water heater is kind of a nice one, where the water heater is one of the best ones to get done on site because it's all just sitting there right in front of you and it fits into all the boilerplate pretty well. So we could just go through it. I mean, if it's a Bradford white water heater, so you see how it says shown here, data plate. I can click on this thing and it opens it up. So Chris, this is the place where now that picture will show with this. So I can hit the little camera icon and pretend this is a picture of a water heater data plate. And then I hit the little green check and now it's just associated there. See how that works?
Yeah. I think, can you show how do you do a general photo of like a bathroom or something to do that same thing? I get this.
Yeah, so let me finish and then remind me, and we'll go to that real quick. So the system is a tank, it's 50 gallons. I've got the Bradford White code built in, right? So I can hit more for the age. I don't know if you guys struggle with this, but I'm not smart enough to remember that stupid letter code. So we could say it's E from 2008, and that gives me a narrative that the water heater is close to the end of its life, and I can go and snap a picture of maybe some rust on it or whatever. And so I've got that done. It's an electric water heater, and there are straps present, and it's on concrete, and a pad is required, but there's none noted. So I hit that, and then I hit the blue guy, and here's Charlie's awesome diagram. Snap a picture, and boom, now I got a picture of the water heater with no pad next to a little diagram with the pad. Drain pan present. Well, it's in the garage, so not needed. Expansion tank, none noted and recommended. Boom, I used the little blue thing up here. When I click on that, oh, it went away. Here, we'll do it again. That blue thing, when you click on it, lets you just go right to the narrative and put the picture in.
That blue thing, maybe that was what I was missing. That because if you don't click on that quick enough, you have to scroll all the way down, I believe, to
That's
find
exactly
which
right,
one.
and that's why we hit that blue thing, is that you can grab that and put a picture in right there without needing to scroll down to it. And then these are common observations. So this is the kind of logic tree of stuff of, okay, it's in a garage, so there's a bollard is needed, so I can click on that. Again, you can put a picture in of a bollard being needed. That makes sense, guys? Pretty intuitive. So to answer your question on, let's say you're in the bathroom, and we need to, this is a good example of one of the things we want to improve a bit. Now I'm in the bathroom general pictures, I hit add observation, and then I take a picture, and that should send it. See, now it's in there.
That makes sense.
You just have to hit that add observation.
Yeah, because I think because it gets a little confusing because the camera icon's at the bottom, so I kept thinking I was putting photos in that general comment section.
So if I'm in this screen and I take a picture, it will just go. It doesn't go in the report. And this is the gallery. See the one. I don't know if you guys can you see that? I don't know if you can see my.
Nope.
Right next to the camera icon to the right, if you click on that, that opens up the gallery. And you can see the reports. Most of these pictures we put right in the report, but there's one that doesn't have a green check mark, and that one's not in the report.
Yep, all right.
Dylan, are these pictures being saved, being directly uploaded, or are they saved in the camera roll, or some are separate?
Yeah, they're not saved to your camera. They're saved in ScribeWare into the cloud. So now when we get back, I'll show you syncing. Oops, I lost that. Let me reshare.
Is there a way to access those pictures that are in the report once we use them?
Yeah, you mean use them when you get back to the office?
Well, before, when I take the pictures on my phone, it would just go into the gallery on my phone, and then I could take them from there and add them to the report in the old software I was using. Now, when I take the pictures, they go directly into the software. I don't have access to those pictures in the future. So if I want to like post them on Facebook or have questions in the group, I want.
Oh yeah, I'll show you that. I'll show you that. We have a little back door where you can get to all your pictures that you use.
Okay,
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then at the bottom of each section, we've got add observation. So here's all the checkbox stuff, right? Slow drain noted. I mean, all these give you your comments with just a click of a button. Caulking, needed around sink, right? And I can come and I can snap a picture. I mean, boy, I'm building this stuff out where it starts getting really, really fast to start doing things. But you also have the keyword search. So I could add an observation. I could come up here and I could type in caulk, and it's going to start sifting through and finding my caulking, right? So it's just like the desktop version. You've got the keyword search to search through all your narratives. And you can, at any point, it's kind of neat down here where you see the plus mark at the bottom. So see how I'm in the bathroom section, but let's say there's no GFI protection and I want to put a GFI comment in. Even though I'm in the bathroom section, I can just hit that plus mark. I can put in the word inconsistent. And then GFCI. It's searching through my entire library, every comment globally. And this is what I wanted, GFCI inconsistent with modern standards. So I can apply that. And that's now going into the electrical section in the report, even though I was working in the bathroom. That makes sense?
Yeah, that's a great tip.
Yeah. And then you could attach a picture to it too, if you want. So I'll snap a picture and now I got a picture of it. Or you could add a little video. That might freak everything out. I think it might have made a little video. Amazing. Anyway, let's see. And then you can tell where you've been with the little orange, which is really helpful. I mean, this is your checklist when you're out in the field, right? You can kind of see where you've been. It's why it would be so nice to add the hide feature so that you can just hide the stuff you don't want and just get rid of it.
Yeah, that'd be huge.
Yeah. Yeah, especially for you, Charlie. I mean, your version of all this stuff is going to be really unwieldy. You'd want to be able to hide things.
Well, that's the thing. My report, although my template is huge, the stuff I need for any individual report isn't that huge.
Yeah, if you could hide stuff, it would really help.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the mobile app? I'm happy to keep showing stuff.
I saw in the chat that somebody was asking where they can download ScribeWare 5 mobile.
Who was asking it?
I believe it was Maine.
Oh, I'd like a contract. Cool. I'll send that to you, Matt. Eating it all up. Good stuff. Nice. Sorry. Thanks, Matt. I'm just checking out the just quietly following along. Awesome. That's great. Where can I download the mobile app? So here, I'll put it in the chat, you guys. Let me get off my phone for a sec. I think that just happened to me. I'm going to leave on my phone.
And then when are we going to get 24.7? Is that coming out soon?
We can't hear you, Dylan.
You're muted.
You guys got me now?
Yep.
Sorry. Yep. Yeah, 24.7. I mean, that's what, I'm always like probably a week or so ahead just because we're trying to troubleshoot stuff. So, but that's, again, we're pushing really hard to make this version that you're looking at be the default download that we start moving everybody towards. So we're getting there. I mean, I don't, I don't know exact dates, but here, let me put, so for the mobile app, you have to have version 5, and the link I'm going to put in, let me write first for a minute, hang on. So that link will get you version 5. This thing is amazing. I don't know how Steve figured it out. Whatever device you're on, be it a Mac computer, PC, iOS device, or Android, if you go to that link on that device, it will load whichever version of the software is appropriate for that device, which I still don't understand, but somehow it does that. And, you know, obviously what we're trying to do is have the app available in the stores, and it will make the download a little more pleasant. If you're on an iOS device, it'll automatically make you do something called test flight. And I think when you're in beta on a mobile, that's like something that Macintosh or iOS stuff requires. But anyway, let us know if you have troubles, but that link should get you the mobile app. My only real advice is don't try to just finish a report on the mobile app. So that is where we're trending, is that you would be able to do a mobile or a report completely on your mobile device. But at the moment, it syncs back to the computer, and you do the publishing and stuff from your desktop. So at the moment, the app is a data collection device, not an end-to-end report writing solution. Obviously, we're trying to remedy that over time, but just adding some more features around publishing. And I personally, I kind of hope that, I don't know, it's tricky to weigh judgment. Us people here in the Northwest, I think it would be really hard to do a good job and do reporting on site. I just don't think it's possible. But, you know, I do appreciate that in like Las Vegas or places, houses are probably a lot easier to inspect and more predictable and more simple. And so maybe you could just have your phone and do the report and be done with it on site. I mean, there would be really no reason you couldn't, other than just, at the moment, you can't publish things yet from the phone, and we need to add a few more features, but we're getting there.
Hey, Dylan, you may have asked or answered this question before, but is I have to step away there, but the mobile app, is that still like in beta, or has that been released?
Well, I just posted a link into the chat. So if you open up the chat, there is a link, and that will get you version 5 for your desktop and for your mobile devices.
Okay.
Yeah. And let us know if you have trouble loading it and stuff. But we're at the point we want more people using it. We want to get more mileage on it. So use it and give us feedback and stuff. And we're constantly trying to make all these things better, even though it's great already.
Absolutely.
Dylan.
Yeah.
Are there still issues with sending a pre-inspection agreement from the mobile app, or are you doing that still on the laptop?
Yeah, the contract at the moment would need to be sent from your desktop, but that's another thing. I mean, in theory, with the mobile, we'd like to, where you could send the contract and even accept payments right on your phone. We've also talked about from your phone, you could ask your client for an online review, so that if you had their phone number, you could send them a text with a link to get reviewed. So there's some things like that we're kind of working on for the mobile app. But, all this stuff, it goes on forever. So just, you gotta. Let's see, I'll keep writing a few things just to keep showing some stuff. Testing floor heat is one of those things. So I have my floor heat. I often use additional heat sources for that.
We're not seeing your screen.
Oh, really? Yeah, let me reshare. Thank you. You guys see my screen again?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, so I usually use additional heat sources for like other different electric heaters or whatever. So I might go under here, and you can see radiant floor is blue. Well, that's a description. So I'm basically saying during inspection, I manipulated the thermostats for the radiant floor pads, and I'll just grab some pictures and drag them in. And then I think somewhere I have pictures. I often put a picture of the thermostat. You know how a lot of people don't even know which thermostat, how those thermostats work that control the floors,
Right.
so I'll often just put a little, and you can caption the pictures. So you can click on any picture and open it up, and we could put a caption for it. And then we could add text to it. And arrows. And you can change the color of all these things and these circles. You can see it uses the color of like the last one that you did by default. You can crop it. It's kind of a nice little photo editor now. It's not super fancy, but you can do some nice stuff there.
Once you've hit save, will the undo still work?
I don't think so. That's a good question though. So let's see, here's a picture of like that little limiter that they put on the casement windows in commercial buildings. So like, I think I have a little note of that built in. This is where, a hard thing if you're using the default library is just knowing how to find stuff. But if I'll put limit under Windows, yeah, here, limit arms note, the casement windows have limit arms. So I don't know, I like to put a note on that because sometimes people move in, they're like, my God, my windows don't open all the way. Or whatever, just nice to tell them about it. So that's not a repair item, right? It's just a little description that I use to kind of show about that kind of window. And again, that we can start using pull downs. These were metal windows, double pane, they're casement, they were fixed pane. Let's see, could keep, I'm just sort of going through pictures and stuff. This was funny, new construction. You guys call this out that they didn't quite make it on their stairs, right? So we could go to interior and go to stairs, treads, large openings, new stairs. That's what I want, right? There's large openings in the stairs and they're new. We hit that and grab some pictures. Do you guys call that out?
Oh yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Doesn't make it, You think they're gonna fix it?
No, but at least you called it out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually a pretty easy fix if you don't mind just adding a little bit underneath the.
Yeah, you can put like a little block of wood or something there. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, does that make sense? How I'm building out more and more of this stuff, but for the default template, now you guys can build all this stuff yourselves, but I'm trying to create more and more of these logic trees where you can find stuff, bifold doors, and then you open that and it's like hardware on wrong panel, adjustment needed. And you can see some of them have, where they're orange, I have a narrative attached, and where they're black, I don't. So this is somewhat endless. I mean, you guys that have been doing this for a while, have probably all spent your entire careers fiddling with your template and your library. And it's just, it never, ever, ever, ever ends. It's like death and taxes, it's like my library, I'll never stop fiddling with it as long as I'm a home inspector.
Does the default template get updated with every version?
That's a great question. It can if you want it to. So if you want to keep receiving the latest default template, then let us know and we can ship that to you. We don't do it automatically because we assume that once you touch it, you're giving birth to your library and your template, and we don't want to fiddle with it. So the default behavior is to not do that. And I found that, some people don't really want to fiddle with their library and template much. And so they could get the latest and the greatest. Other people, Charlie's has probably nothing resembling anything that is the default template. So we would never dream of touching it. So the default,
it's a nightmare enough.
Yeah, that's right. So the default behavior, the answer to your question is no, but if you ever are itching for, once you're on version 5, you're always welcome to the newest version, just knowing that it would probably erase stuff that you've customized for yourself. I don't know where we're at with it, but Steve had talked about possibly being able to write an algorithm that could update anything you hadn't touched, which is kind of a neat idea. But that might be getting just too complicated now because there's just too many things that can be customized.
But that doesn't prevent adding the new stuff that the continual updates Steve does. That doesn't affect your.
No, there's nothing that affects the updates. It's just library stuff and template stuff. So I'm constantly trying to improve. Like I recently went through my bathroom section and I've made it a lot better. And I've taken, the most common things that I run into, the comments I use all the time. I mean, we have so many ways to get at the comment you want. It's really pretty cool. The most common things like slow drain, right? We run into those like almost every job. So I just built a checkbox for those. Boom, slow drain, I can put a picture or video in. The next deeper layer is common observations. And it's like, slow drains, stoppers, waste plumbing, supply connectors, supply piping, angle stops, sinks, faucets, functional flow, faucet handles, caulking, cabinets, countertops, backsplash, water damage. And if you open up each one of these, you should get anywhere from one to a handful of narratives that'll serve up to you. So this is partly, when I'm on the desktop, I really love the keyword search. I mean, I can just type in slow and get a whole bunch of slow drain comments. So the mobile app is causing me more and more to like all these pull downs because they work really well on the mobile app and they're just convenient when you're out in the field. So anyway, I knew this would happen, that once we had the mobile app, it would influence what I want to have my template look like and do. So yeah, I mean, it just feel sympathy for me. My life is sort of a never-ending nightmare with just like trying to keep. I mean, it's neat. We build all these new things, and then I'm like, oh wow, I could spend the next year retooling my library. Hey,
Dylan, quick suggestion on maybe to pass on to Steve. When you're trying to coordinate libraries, like if you're trying to download your latest library or something like that, maybe a better route to go is just give the person an option, because you're going to do that manually anyway, right? You're going to go in and say, hey, update all the libraries.
It's not a bad idea, yeah.
And then an option to either overwrite or duplicate anything that you edited.
Yeah.
I would tend more toward the duplication because I don't like the idea of overwriting stuff that I've written anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the real goal is that once you download ScribeWare, it gives birth to your library and you start making it yours and put your language in and stuff. But
I like a lot of that. I mean, there's a lot of things that you've come across and things that you may be adding that have good verbiage as well.
Yeah, and that's it. The really hard part about this, and I've seen it psychologically. I mean, even Charlie probably, with his awesome comments and his extensive way of doing it, would probably like to comb through my library and grab some things that he likes. I mean, we all have things that we would like to borrow from each other, and it's just so complicated to figure out how to like share these things and what it's. I wish we had some sort of magic bullet to all this, but it's really hard. I mean, let's look at the library. So you see how there's a library button up here that gets you into this whole back end. And it's pretty cool. This is now like searching. This is my entire library, right? So it's going to take a while because I just moved so far in it. There's just, I mean, it's thousands of pages of stuff. Eventually here it'll get caught up, but you can winnow your library down. So I can do a global search for like GFCI, and it'll start looking through my library for GFCI comments. So anything with GFCI in it. I can tell a bunch of this stuff is really old because it doesn't have a blue title. Pretty much anything I'm working with today, I give it a nice blue title to help me understand what the comment is for. So some of this stuff is probably old, or I haven't fiddled with it in a long time. It looks like I've got 2 of the same comment, so I don't need that. So if I want to clean stuff up, I can click on this and I can remove this from the library. Here's that same comment. Anyway, now you see how some of these have these orange bits next to them? You guys all see that? That's actually pretty cool. What that tells me is that this narrative is now connected to something in the field, one of those check boxes or pull downs. And that's really helpful for me to kind of, I can instantly look at my report template and realize that, you know, there's certain things that, ooh, this one, GFCI is not readily accessible. I don't have that connected to a pull down. So I need to go make a pull down for that and connect it. So it's actually a great way to kind of sort through your library. Another thing we've added is this, we call this the library category. So if you click these 3 buttons when you're in the library, it gives you this whole back end. So if you were importing a library from another software, it gets very complicated because you want to sort your library by section. And every single one of our users, as they customize the software, will have different sections, and every report software you came from will have different sections. So it's very confusing, you know, how do you import a library and then get everything pointed where you want it? And so Steve had what I think is sort of a brilliant idea, and that is that, well, rather than sorting things by the actual section that you have, why don't we build these categories? And you can then, you know, so I have like clothes dryer, you know, and well, it makes sense. I'd point that to my clothes dryer category, clothes washer, crawl space insulation, crawl space posts and footings. And we're still kind of building this out a little bit, but you can, if you want to, you can click on these and you can see what entries are there. And you can go through and edit stuff. And then you can also point any given section to multiple different places, if that makes sense. So let's see, to do that, you can click on one of these. Oh, I know how you do that. You go into report, and then so I'm in sinks and cabinets, and if I click up here, when I edit section, you see there's edit library category. You guys all seeing that?
Yeah. Yes.
When I click on that, well, right now I've got my bathroom sinks connected to bathroom sinks and cabinets, which is just like I want it. But if I wanted to, I could also have dryer comments show up in that section. I could just click that and then hit update library category. Obviously not going to save that. But so anyway, reach out to us. If you're importing a library, we're happy to try to help. And it gets pretty complicated, but that's the idea behind this stuff. And again, you go to the library, hit these 3 dots, and this is where all of your library categories are, and you can edit these, you can change the names of them and stuff. But the idea is to kind of gather all of your narratives into logical categories, and then from there you can point them to one or more sections in a report. And it's a pretty cool idea. I mean, if you think about it, like, why do we need a separate library for kitchen sinks and bathroom sinks and laundry sinks? And like, you know, you could really have like sinks and then you could point it to all these different places. On the other hand, if you have just kitchen sinks, then the narrative will say the kitchen sink is so-and-so. So you might want a separate section for just kitchen sinks. And the great thing about home inspectors is I know that we will all do it differently. So we've tried to build it that way so that everybody can do it differently. I know this is a hard one to get your head around. I mean, it's tough. Our goal when we first worked on ScribeWare was to make something so intuitive that there were absolutely no directions for it. But you know, once you build something that everybody can customize and do their own thing, it just gets a bit more complicated.
Hey, Dylan, is there any like message board website where people could upload open source? Like, I would like to see what other people are using for their observation headings, and maybe their favorite comment that they like, or their GFCI comment if they think it's great. One of the comments that I developed years ago was the inspected home was a candidate for demolition.
I love that. Yeah.
And I use that probably twice a year.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my create a Facebook page just for the ScribeWare.
Yeah. So that's the closest we have is our users group on Facebook at the moment. And that is an imperfect tool. We have some thoughts around trying to improve that, but obviously we haven't done it yet.
It would be something nice to have it where you could have like all the observation headings to where you could see everybody's list side by side. I'm not very creative myself, but I really plagiarize well. So,
one of my favorite narratives I stole from somebody was what is it? Cottage construction. And this house is built in cottage construction. These homes are typically maintained on an as-needed basis until they're torn down or rebuilt.
Well, that's a similar to island construction.
Yeah, that's what it is. Anyway, I mean, right? This is what I mean. Like, we all want to borrow these comments. I mean, I think we all nobody corners the market on this stuff. Everybody has these new, unique, great ideas, and I plagiarize all the time when I run into good narratives. I'm like, ooh, that's an awesome one, but I would tend to like tweak it and make it my own a little bit. But
fire training practice house.
Yeah. Well, like Chris just asked to join, but join our ScribeWare users group. We'd love to have you on there. And that's the best we have at the moment. And we are thinking of ways to try to improve that in a lot of ways. I mean, it would be cool if a tool like that were some searchable, so that you could see whether people have a narrative on something or how they do other things. So now we want to create more of like a sharing community if possible. But anyway, it's sort of complicated. I don't know exactly what tool we'd use, and the Facebook users group is the closest thing we have at the moment. And it's a good idea, but.
Dylan, we haven't done Room Raider yet.
Room Raider?
Do you know Room Raider?
That's
this guy. He on Zoom meetings, he rates your background.
So we could rate everybody's template. Is that what you think? Template rater?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but. Yeah.
Well, anyway, guys, I mean, we've been through a ton of stuff. Anybody else want to see more stuff? I mean, I can keep going and writing and showing you things, but I think I've given you kind of a good run through. Yeah.
On how to write a savory report.
Well, I'm incredibly proud of these reports, and for some of the newer guys on here, I will tell you that a great report is hands down the best way to grow your business. And
that's right.
I really have done no real marketing of any kind ever in my career other than build a website, teach classes, and write great reports. That's kind of my thing. And that will grow your business. It's hard when you're newer to come out of the box and write great reports. I mean, I've spent 18 years working at it, and I am still make mistakes and wish I were better at it, and it's just sort of never ending a bit. But
it will also protect your business too, and people, it seems like when the report's good and detailed, if there is a mistake, which there always is, because we're home, that slides, they know that it wasn't an intentional or an undereducated mistake. It's just what happened.
Yeah. People will forgive all kinds of minor stuff. It's all you got to do is reach their level of being pissed off if you've missed too many things, and they forgive the little stuff.
No, you nailed it, Don. I mean, my strategy for liability protection is to shoot way over people's expectations of what they thought they were going to get. And then when I make a few mistakes and stuff, they're like, oh, that happens. And it's amazing. I'm always amazed how people email me like, hey, this thing happened and you never would have found it. And, they're always so nice about it. And I mean, and they're usually right. I wouldn't have ever found it. But I think if you aren't blowing people away with awesome reports and service, then that quickly turns to this negative thing.
Once people realize you're their advocate, then they're in your camp. And then, of course, the best compliment is when some engineering firm reads your report and it gets back to you from the clients. They're like, they said that's the best report they've ever read. And then you're like, sweet, because now everyone else is building you.
Yeah, it's the best.
Free advertising.
Yeah, exactly.
That was actually the key. So when I was a newer inspector, I was sort of, I despised going into real estate offices. I mean, I just wanted to shoot myself. And it quickly dawned on me that if I just wrote a great report, then every time I do a job, I'm getting paid to market my business.
And you were known for a while in Seattle as the deal killer, but the realtors were saying that, but they were telling all their clients, oh yeah, Orc Inspection, they killed deals. And then the clients were like, That's who I want to hire.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I heard that about you before I knew you.
Watch out for this guy. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I probably mellowed a bit, but you know how that, there's a period in your career where you're like freaking going for it, you know?
But that drove it. The agents actually unintentionally were recommending you by saying, "Oh yeah, you don't want to use him. He's too detailed."
Exactly.
Yeah.
They just have no clue.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it can feel frustrating when you're new. What's really frustrating about that is you want every job and you want everybody to like you. And, those of us who have done it for a while, there's certain agents I meet because like whatever, the client finds me and I meet them, and within a few minutes, I'm just sort of like, we'll never work together again. And that's fine by me.
Exactly.
And, don't let that bug you. I mean, I really don't, early on, you take these things personally, but it's like, they just have a different business model. I mean, and that's fine. We all have different business models. And as a home inspector, you're partly choosing business models that accommodate to certain types of clients and certain types of realtors. And in my humble opinion, those types of agents with those business models are a trap. I mean, you will get work, but it won't be rewarding for long.
And they will not support you if the poo hits the fan.
They'll throw you under the bus.
They're gone. You won't even see their backside. They're over the horizon.
Well, we all have to work with hundreds of different agents in our career. And how long is your list of agents that you would recommend to your family?
Yeah.
It's pretty dang small.
Or the one where they take you aside and say, "Hey, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job because this is real important, but you might want to go a little easy on this because these people are really nervous about this stuff."
God.
That's one of my favorite lines.
Yeah, right. And you just sort of quietly want to go vomit in the corner or something. No, it's so gross. I mean, ugh.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thanks for your wisdom. That just makes me feel awesome. What part of the report and the inspection would you like me to go easy on? You tell me.
That's what's nice about doing it for a while, because after a while you do the same inspection no matter what, and it doesn't matter how high or low or detailed or undetailed. It's you've got your grinds you go through, and you're not done until it's done. So then you don't have to worry about all those people trying to lean you one way or the other.
Well, it's like saying you want lemon meringue pie without the meringue, but what if the client wants the meringue?
Yeah, that's funny.
And you might be back in 5 years.
Right.
To the same house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or 10 years or 12
years.
Roger,
for me, that's what makes me nervous about being a home inspector, is doing what I consider a really good detailed inspection on a house. And 5 years later, I'm back and I'm finding stuff that was there 5 years ago that I didn't see.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. And some of it, there's things that you see, or thing I like is you see stuff that you reported that has not been fixed, and then you get to judge, should it really have been fixed, or was I too hard on it last time, or most of the time it's worse.
It's worse, right?
It's worse, yeah. Most of the time I'm right, so I score 1 for the home inspector, but once in a while there's something that's like, okay, maybe that wasn't such a big deal.
I play a game with those sometimes where I'll do the report without looking at the old report first,
absolutely.
And I'll be inspecting. I said, "There's no way I saw this last time."
Yeah. And it's in there.
And it's in there.
You're thoroughly impressed that you recorded almost exactly the same stuff.
Exactly.
Now, there will be something that maybe you walk to the right, when you come back and you walk to the left, it's different. But yeah, for the most part, I do the same thing. I'll wait and look at the report that I did the last time after I'm completely finished. And I'm like, hey, I'm really impressed myself.
Yeah. I mean, nobody else is going to vet you. You might as well vet yourself.
Exactly.
Or you're doing an inspection and you have a massive sense of deja vu, and then you look up your database and you did it 12 years ago.
Oh yeah.
I've had a few of those. I'm like, was I here? Certain things look familiar, but
there was one where I just could not believe I'd ever been there, and but I had. I did it as a pre-listing inspection, and then I did it again for a buyer, and but they'd moved the electrical from one side of the house to the other. So
that was just to fool you, Charlie.
Yeah, it totally threw me.
This will get him.
Yeah, I had one that I inspected that burned down and they rebuilt the house, the mirror image of the house.
Oh my God, crazy.
That really messed with me. It was in a subdivision called Seven Lakes. And when I inspected it, the garage overlooked the lakes. When they replaced it, they made all the bedrooms overlook the little lakes.
Oh, funny. So it's like backwards.
Made sense. But they literally, they replaced the driveway and everything. So you're coming back to the same address and they're like, and the same house, mirror image.
Crazy.
So talking about messing with you when you're like, you know, I know I was here. And then you finally realize that, you know, joke's on me.
Man, that's nuts.
Different house. Yeah. It's the only time I've ever had that happen, but really interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Scott, one of our ScribeWare users, texted me and he said that he'd done a house about a year or two ago and found tons of electrical problems. And he said, I wrote this report that was basically like, if you buy this, the house will burn down. And he goes back, he shows up somewhere and there's no house on it, but it's ISN is saying that he'd been there before and he shows up and the house is gone. It burned to the ground.
Wow.
Yeah. And I guess the owner was selling it and he killed the deal. So his client hadn't bought it. And the owner's like, oh yeah, we bought it, moved in. There was an electrical fire, burned it to the ground.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow. Yeah.
That's what's hard about what we do. Like you get, you know, you Zinsco panel and you see like your 1,000th one or your 100th one. You're like, I don't know, is that big a deal? You know, I don't see them on fire, but it's like, it's a statistical game, you know, sooner or later, some of those things.
You don't want to be right.
Yeah. That's hard. You can't predict that.
Yeah,
so
it's like how often people are lucky as opposed to smart.
Yeah, boy. There wouldn't be a human race if that wasn't true, Charlie.
That's true.
Yeah, and I think there's something important about never letting your guard down in what we do. And the CE classes are really important for that. And like the community at what ASHI does and getting together, it's like it helps keep your head in the game because
it's maintaining that beginner's mind, you know, where you treat every inspection like it's the first inspection you ever did, or you're scared shitless, you know, and you need to maintain a certain amount of that in order to be vigilant enough to not get caught with your pants down more often than you want to be.
This is such a great job, Charlie, where we have to crawl through rat crap and try not to slide off roofs and get paid an okay amount of money and be terrified our entire career.
Yeah, it's all about adrenaline, everything in life.
And then spending till 1 in the morning writing reports, and that's why we're here for Dylan's thing.
Yeah, come on, Don. We can get you to bed at least by 11.
That'd be awesome.
They didn't say anything about this when I took the classes to be a home inspector.
Yeah, that's all lies, that stuff.
Yeah, the schools aren't they all just galas with real estate agents and eating caviar, Charlie?
Yeah.
Well, they're about teaching you to pass the National Home Inspector exam, and as we all know, that's not a high bar.
Right.
Tip of the iceberg. Yeah.
I have to say the classes at BCU are not that way. Those are pretty comprehensive, especially with Dylan and Charlie. I appreciate the education I got there.
Oh, thanks, Joel. Yeah. Well,
I can't imagine them blowing smoke.
I think that's a good program up there. We try to give a lot, but it's no matter how you slice it, it's the tip of the iceberg. It's just a hard business to start.
Yeah, I mean, we have a home inspector law that does not allow us enough time to do what we really need to do. But the state isn't about regulating businesses that aren't causing harm. So the consumer isn't being harmed the way it is. It's going to stay the way it is unless we as individuals do something different.
Yeah, I've always felt it should be more like an apprenticeship system where like electrical or plumbing or something where you work under somebody for a year or half a year or something. But it's tough. I mean, that just the real estate industry would hardly allow it. Cause I mean, that starts, your fees would have to be higher and everything would be, you'd take more time writing reports and more time doing inspections, and the realtors would hate that. And it's like,
that's why the model has to start from the ground up, where some of us just do more and charge more, and everybody else gets dragged along kicking and screaming.
Mhm.
It is kind of it. I mean, on a small island where I am, I mean, there's a guy that has done a very good job, a way above average job ever since long before I started. And he kind of made me catch up to him. I mean, he was my competition, you know.
Sure.
It's like, all right, I got to get you know, I can't. He quickly showed me that there's other business models other than the one that was sold to me in the school that I went to, you know. And I didn't know any better. I went to school and all these guys that, you know, Doug Hansen was there and all these people are telling me what to do. And they hand you a little checkbox report and like, there's got to be a better way to do this. You know, this is crazy. But that's how it all starts, you know. Anyway, well, what a fun meeting. Great to catch up with everybody. And thanks for
Yeah, this
spending
was
your
good, Dylan.
Saturday.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Dylan.
your support.
And Merry Christmas if we don't see you before
Merry
then.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Merry
Merry
Christmas,
Christmas.
everybody.
And I like Joel's background the best.
Joel,
Yeah.
Joel wins.
What's Joel's background, Charlie?
It's my fake background.
Yeah.
You don't want to see my bedroom, yeah.
Well, a pleasure seeing you guys. Merry Christmas and reach out if we can help. All right.
Take
Yeah,
care.
you
Thanks
too.
again.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Yeah.
I'm stealing that stuff from Roger too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Me too.